I just had such a powerful, insightful, encouraging, and challenging conversation with my dear friend Scott Specker, owner of Five Star Painting, owner of Top Rated Gutters. He has multiple businesses. He's doing a lot within his life, investing in his team, so a lot of nuggets there. But he also opens up about his life, about his personal life, and he talks about the way God made him and what that's taught him, the way that he's navigated life with the way that he was born. I don't want to give it away, but here's my dear friend Scott Specker. Welcome to Market Mavericks. I'm Matthew Eford. Join me as I speak with leaders who are redefining industries in every corner of the market. From startups to established businesses, we'll uncover the strategies, challenges, and insights that drive success. Get ready to be inspired by the Mavericks who are shaping the future of business. Welcome to Market Mavericks. I have a dear friend, Scott Specker. He and I have known each other for several years now. One of our companies are related through the Neighborly program. Neighborly Corporation owns Mosquito Joe, as well as Five Star Painting. And Scott is one of our local owners here. So I'm super excited to get to know him over the years that we've been a part of Neighborly. And I just admire Scott, the way that he runs his business, the way he invests in his organization and his community. So I'm really excited to hear from Scott and share his story with you all. So Scott, as we get started, man, just what's your role? What do you do? Keep people kind of an overview of where you're at right now.
Yeah, so I actually own 4 businesses now. So it started with Five Star Painting back in January of 2013. I left 16 years of corporate America with the Nielsen Company, calling on my last client was Coca-Cola downtown in North Avenue.
Wow.
But we started, so we started Five Star, and that has led to other business ownership. So we now own a commercial real estate company, which owns the 2 suites I'm sitting in. Not living. And we own we just started a gutter business as well. So we now replace gutters and do gutter tops for residential and commercial properties. And then a small kind of specialty coatings company that works with pool slide recoating manufacturers. And we kind of just act as a sales agent for them. So
That's fantastic. I love that. So talk to me through, like, obviously you get into Five Star Painting, you make that leap from the corporate world into business ownership. Now you've taken many different avenues. Like what's coming for you? What's been surprising for you? What's come out in your journey so far?
yeah, it's wild because and I definitely want to try and get into this a little bit more today, because you get brought down paths you didn't know. So it kind of started a bit, this kind of new path I'm on, which might be like a 5th business. I don't know, or I might have to wrap it into another one. But
Okay.
2019, I did leadership for Forsyth, and it was a
Yep.
whole year commitment. And one of the reasons I started the business too is I just did not feel connected to the local community, to the local teams. You'd be just like a parent, but like I wasn't on any nonprofit boards. I wasn't really a part of the community to the point where you're actually having an impact. So I joined Rotary 2015, maybe. I think it's been 6 years, 2016. And that kind of led to, hey, you need to volunteer here, and really took on volunteering more as really a staple, or what you might call it as a pillar in sort of,
Sure.
what I do every day. I really enjoyed it, led to leadership for Scythe. And then I started to get asked, okay, hey, can you come and talk to us? It was Tammy with Leadership for Scythe. She asked me, I was volunteering for the youth leadership for Scythe and being like a program director for them, and had a small group of kids and stuff that I was kind of their leader with. And then she came up to me one day. She's like, hey, one of the kids, and we have a kid in the group with a disability. Can you speak in front of the group about
Wow.
their
Yeah.
disability? And I was like, it took me like, I live with a disability, so I have a small right hand, born that way. I don't have a small pectoral chest, so my chest's a little odd, or pectoral muscle. And I'll never forget, like I looked at her like I didn't even know what she was talking. I'm like, what
Sure.
disability? Like, I was like, so and then I instantly just said yes. And then I was like, holy cow, I gotta put some thoughts together. No one's ever asked me that. So I was like honored that she even asked me, like, what should I say? So I focused really that speech on what does the kid or the person in that room need to hear from me that would be impactful, that might, impact them. And I didn't have slides, like there's no PowerPoint, it's just me. I wrote down like 3 things, and I still have the piece of paper I should have brought with me, but it's at home. And I just talked about experiences with me, and it was one of those. I've spoken a lot. I used to do that a lot at Nielsen. Like I would speak in front of PowerPoints and just do like a lot of, but this was like a first like non sort of data. It was just like me talking about me,
Yeah.
which was weird. And it went really well. And I got a little teary. I think they got a little teary at some point just talking about it. So that was, man, I bet that was like 2021. I didn't even really, so it kind of was out there and it was like in the back of my head. I started to write like a speech, like if I ever get asked to do that again, like
Okay.
I think I could crush it. And I think I could impact people, frankly. It just felt like, you know, it's not an easy speech, but it's definitely like different than what I've done in the past. And then, so kind of fast forward, and I'm just rambling on here. Is that cool?
No, no, yeah, this is perfect. Yeah, no,
Okay,
please.
I'll have to get these dates lined up, but yeah, so Tammy kind of started it, and then what led recently, and I've been thinking about it. Like we went away, and I like to write when I'm on vacation. Like I either write like a presentation, or I just kind of write thoughts when I'm like, if I'm on a beach or something, thinking. And so fast forward to about what 3 weeks ago, I'm playing tennis, big tennis guy. I love playing tennis. It's my only exercise. And I'm out there. My wife had told me like there's this kid in our neighborhood who has a small right hand. And she kind of mentioned it briefly, like, yeah, they wanted to meet you or they heard about you or something. And I'm like, okay, didn't even think about it. So I'm playing this tennis match and we won. It was a really good match.
Nice.
And all of a sudden, this like 3-year-old comes kind of like running from the playground over to my tennis court. And dude, he had a small hand.
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
was like, holy cow, that's. And then the mom was like quickly behind him because she's like, hey, Scott, she's like, hey, we've been meaning to meet you. We've heard about you. And the way he was kind of looking at me, the way it was just like, okay, maybe God is like saying, okay, Scott, here, how many
Yeah.
times I gotta tell you
Yeah.
this, because you kind of, am I really inspiring to people? I don't know. Am I? I don't know. So the look on that kid's face, we had a great interaction, we had a great chat. I just thought, okay, maybe I need to put some time and energy into developing a message for that group. Apparently, there's like camps now. They call it limb deficiency or something.
Okay.
And
Wow, I
I
didn't
need to
realize
look
that.
into that. It's like, man, if I could go volunteer and say a few words that might help some kids, I don't know, because I've just not really lived with. My friends even joke, they're like, really? Really, you have a disability? Like I can about some tennis and stuff. They're like, really? So I bring it up as a joke, but it's like, I guess, it's somewhat inspiring to someone. So,
Sure.
but here I was looking at this 3-year-old who's just like looking at me like I was like, a hero or something. I'm like, dude, I'm just functioning, I'm just functioning as if everyone else, like I have two full functioning hands. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh, I love that. And I want to go back to kind of some of the messaging, right? Because I think that's going to be very valuable for everyone involved. But I've always admired you that you're not a victim, right? That it is from the standpoint that we've known each other, I've
Yeah.
never seen that in you. You have the opportunity to be, but you don't lead that way, and I definitely admire that a lot. It also is I'm sure challenging and inspiring to your team. Talk to me through like what's the messaging? What are you trying to? So at Leadership Forsyth 2021, you shared that message. I actually remember you and I talking about it beforehand.
Hmm.
Talk to me through like what's the message? What are you trying to get out there? And then subsequently, what are you trying to craft for future opportunities?
I think it's a couple things. I think you know, I might have a good message for parents because I would probably model what my parents did, which was to not be a victim. And it kind of came out clear when my wife was sitting with my mom, it was years ago, and they got talking about, raising me and stuff. And my wife was kind of loving on my mom, saying, hey, you've done such an amazing job. I love your son. And it came up about my hand, and the doctor had told my mom, like, look, he's always going to be different, or he's not going to have a normal life. And
Wow.
my mom looked and my wife retells the story probably better than I do, but my mom looked back at my wife and she said, I looked at the doctor and said, not my son.
Yeah, I
So
love
I
that.
think there's a theme around sort of not my son, because that took away the victim. Like, I'm not going to raise him any different. And she didn't. I
Yeah,
mean, I played baseball. I mean, I played, there was every sport except for basketball because I wasn't good. I just can't dribble on that side. But
sure.
like they never limited me based on my physical disability ever. So that's a number one message. Like, don't sign them up. Like, and I'll never forget. I was playing baseball. This was before the Jim Abbott days, right? So
Okay.
I had the glove under the
Okay.
arm. I was the only kid. Man, I bet I was like 8 years old because I only played baseball for 2 years. We moved to Buffalo when I was 6. So I played baseball for 2 years and then I went right into soccer. But I'll never forget, like, here I was, and I was pitching because I had a strong arm, right? So I was
Wow.
pitching, I had the glove under. This opposing coach came and walked out with a different glove. And he's like, "Hey, buddy, you just don't have another glove." And then I kind of looked at him with my hand. He goes, "I'm so sorry." And he
Oh,
walked, he did that in front of everyone.
wow.
It was like, and I'll never forget that. I was like, but, and it, it was just sort of embarrassing, but it was like, holy cow, yeah, I'm different. Like, it was pretty wild. So, I think the parenting message, I think, is strong. I think, like you said, with the kids, and then you got to do that through, like, try everything. And I think what I've also thought about is that, like, we all kind of have disabilities in a way, right? No one's perfect under
Yeah.
God's image, right? He made us imperfect for a reason. There's
Yeah.
maybe varying degrees of imperfect, right? But we all have, and that kind of got me through a little bit of high school bullying and middle school bullying too, because it made me kind of quick-witted too, because I definitely got some verbal abuse when in middle school. Middle school was worse. High school was fine.
Okay.
But middle school was a bit rough. And you just kind of get quick-witted, which isn't great, but you kind of have to do what you have to do to get to survive through middle school. But I remember thinking, like, man, no one's perfect, right?
Yeah.
So you can find flaws. So as a middle schooler, you go, yeah, but you have red hair. Or you could shoot back with some sort of silly comment to kind of protect yourself because you would do that. Um, so yeah, I started to pull up. Let me pull. I started to write some stuff. I'll pull it up real quick.
Yeah, please do.
Can you look
Would
into
love.
the left here? I'm just gonna find, I started to put together kind of a draft of what it should say and what my main themes are.
All right, so you're going to share, Scott. You're going to share with us more of kind of the message, right? Some of the things that you wrote down. So what do you have there?
Okay, I have 4 themes that I wrote down. So God made me, and He is good. So that was kind of like, I believe I'm made under the image of Christ,
Amen.
and He's good, right? So for some reason He wanted me to look like this. So I gotta, like, milk on that a bit and be like, okay, that's good. I can feel good about that, right? So
Yeah.
God made me, and He's good. So that's the first kind of theme. Second one I wrote down was, I don't see myself as disabled at all. That's why I was kind of taken aback when Tammy said that. I was like, what? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Third, treat all people as God's creation. So God created all of us. So that's kind of a theme too. And then I mentioned this one already. So we all have strengths when we look beyond the disabilities. So that's another theme that I thought resonated. Actually, I was talking to the little boy about it at the tennis courts, because she's like, oh, he's really good with. She mentioned that he was already good with something else. I said, "Oh yeah, man, your left hand gets super strong. Like, I got this huge muscle because I use it so much." And so I was finding other strengths that, maybe I have good intuition. Maybe I'm good with my feet for soccer, or maybe, I have other strengths that sort of balance my disabilities, and we all do. So those 4 themes were kind of the main points of my message and then I brought up examples about those as well. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I love that so much. So, talk to me about from your business or your businesses. You have multiple organizations. You have this new venture that you're launching into, which I think is amazing. I think that again, I admire you, admire the way you're leading.
Thanks, bud.
Talk to me about your leadership. Like how is this your what you were born with, what you've lived with, how
Mhm.
you've chosen to adapt and not be a victim to it. How's that changed the way you lead your organizations?
It's a great question. I would say, getting back to the strengths, I think I lean into my strengths for my leadership. So I know that I'm very good with marketing. I'm very good with people. I can connect people to our business. So I've really focused what I do in that, and I've hired other people and tried to develop them into leaders to handle the other parts.
Okay.
So being in the field and managing the crews and stuff, I've got a great guy that does that. And it's okay, how do I make him a better leader? Where can I send him? What can he learn from to make him a better leader? So, I mean, I think leadership is about building other leaders. If you can build another leader, you're probably doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I think it's being honest and open with yourself too. So, and with others. So having sometimes difficult situations. Hey, I saw the way you handled that. Probably could have done that a little bit different. I would have done a little different because I think this would have brought a different outcome if you handled it this way. Um, so always caring about, you know, people's development, I think is key. But yeah, where that's led me now is I really just focus on that part of it. So I don't, you know, I don't schedule jobs. I've just actually hired someone to help me with some of the marketing so I could
Nice.
start to focus on other things. So where it's led, you know, Five Star's really starting to like, I need to touch it and fix it sometimes. There's an unhappy customer, but other than that, the team is got it. And the fact they even, you know, I'll be like in the office, they're like, why are you here? Everything's fine. Like, I'm like,
I love
okay,
that.
I'll go home.
Yeah, I
I don't
love
know what I'm
that.
gonna do, but I'm gonna go home. Which is funny. But so it's led us, you know, a couple of the Five Star guys. I'm very close with my power group within Five Star.
Okay.
So there's like, you know, our power group, we talk all the time, we've become friends. You know, I travel with them. I mean, the guy in Macon's like a really good friend, and the guy in Woodstock I would consider a really good friend, and really great faith-based men.
It's
And
fantastic.
every 2 weeks we have a group meet that's super active. And so where it's led is, okay, what's next? Five Star's great. Could be better. You know, once you're 10, 13 years into it, it's like, okay, I'm helping the franchisor more than they're helping me. How do I take all this knowledge I've learned throughout the years and do something even bigger and better? So what we did is we focused on an ancillary business, or a maybe auxiliary, I think I'm looking for, an add-on business
Sure.
uh, that you can, it's kind of symbiotic with painting a bit. So we get asked a lot to replace gutters. And we said, okay, let's look at this. We researched it. We really saw a big gap in the service, so we could bring our customers high value at a
Okay.
low price. So there's top guys up there. I won't trash them, but you'll see them advertised all the time. I had them out to my house. I said, I need new gutters or new gutter toppers. They said, great, it'd be $20,000.
Wow.
What? I said, I
Wow.
expect like 3 grand. So, you know, is there anything in between there where, and I had other guys out to the house too, but they were super high, and I thought, okay, we could be somewhere in that middle more because they're super bottom and then super high. So, we started Top Rated Gutters with the thought that, hey, we know how to service customers. We've got a happy customer base. We have we know what we want in terms of software. We know how to do marketing. It's the same customer. It's the same, you know, homeowner that we want up here in
Yeah.
North Atlanta. So, yeah, 6 of us then created a partnership,
Okay.
and we became founders, and we're all starting our own locations with the hope of building it out much bigger one day, to where the point that we're either franchising ourselves or we're selling rights to it. In fact, that's why we wanted
Yeah.
to get your input on that as well.
Yeah,
We
sure.
don't know what we want to be when we grow up yet. So we're building it. We're each building our own. We have 5 out of the 6 launched,
Okay.
rolling, you know, but we're still like in that first year of like, okay, let's, you know, what's working, what's not. We're testing different marketing things. It's fun. In fact, I got an appointment today, so that's why I got the shirt on. So we're
Nice.
excited about that. And yeah, so that's cool. And it's higher margin for us, which is great, because as you get bigger, your margins just get lower and
Smaller
lower.
and smaller. Yeah. So you shared a lot there, which all of it I'm excited to kind of unpack. Let's start with the beginning. You said you found what you were good at, and then you delegated, outsourced what you weren't good at. Did you have a specific process of did you take any of the personality tests? Did you ask anybody? How did you kind of narrow down to say this is what I'm really good at?
That's a great question. You got to be honest with yourself. You know, you kind of look at one point, it's like, okay, what can I do that in your organization? What am I good at that no one else can do that you have on staff? So it's like, okay, I'm really good at this, and they can do it as good as me. You know, I don't want to sound arrogant, but it's what I'm most comfortable doing. Let's put it that way. When you
Okay.
own it, right? So it's like, okay,
Okay.
it's not scary. It's not, to me, it's just going out and putting the effort. I think, man, that's a good question. I would say, um, once I saw, well, frankly, flip it the other way. Once I saw them doing stuff better than what I can do and with
Yeah.
more passion, or as
Yeah.
much passion as me, I'm like, okay, I'm out. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, Matt just went and closed a job at 1:30 a.m. It
Wow.
was at Mall of Georgia for an
Oh
Apple
yeah,
store.
I saw your post on it.
Didn't complain once,
Yeah.
you know. And the next morning, I'm like, "Hey, how did it go?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it was good. I closed it at 2:15
It's
a.m.
awesome. Yeah, it's so
Saturday
good.
night." I'm like, "Okay."
Okay.
Think I would be complaining, and Sharon would hear about that for 3 weeks, you know. So I
Oh
mean, I
yeah,
would, and he hasn't said a word. I saw him already this morning. Hey, how you doing? Good. All right.
I love it. Yeah, I love so I've struggled that. That's one of the reasons I'm asking. I've struggled with that so much that I will feel like I'm really good at something, and sometimes I am, and God's gifted me in certain areas. But then there are certain things that I just, as a business owner, man, I just am not willing to give up. So, and then I struggle with delegation in terms of not dumping things on people. I
Mhm.
struggle with the delegation piece, and so let's talk about that. And you mentioned something that I think is super important, that you continue to kind of go back to your team and say like, hey, not this way, but this way.
Mhm.
That you see something and you say something about it, and then you show them the right way or the way that you want it
Yeah.
done, or kind of the culture piece. So talk us through kind of your process of leading in that way.
Yeah, I think I just think of an example where a manager was getting feedback or giving feedback to one of our salespeople recently, and um, he took the step of assuming why she was doing it, and that
Okay.
was bad. And
Yeah.
because she came to me, she's like, I was really upset because he assumed it was because, and it wasn't the behavior she was doing. So
Yeah.
I just pulled him in and said, look, what you said to her was great. You need to bring out an activity or a behavior you didn't like, but then you can't assume why she's doing it because you don't know. I mean, most of the things we found with when employees are struggling, they usually have personal stuff going on. We had a salesperson a couple months ago. Turns out, you know, her roommate was stealing from her, like all this, and her.
Wow.
So there's another layer, and there's two sides to everything. So we try not to judge anymore. It's quickly like, okay, let's get the information. Who said what? Where is it? Talk to both people. And that's a big one. I think that was just in a recent example that was pretty solid. I think for for um, for networking, and so I'll take my son for example. Like he wanted to learn how to sell this summer, so he
Okay.
came to me, he shadowed me, and then afterwards, I'm like, all right, what did you hear me say? You know, what did I not say? Because you know he was with me, just taking notes. I said, you just take notes, and we were
Yeah.
walking around this guy's house, measuring his gutters, and I was kind of doing our pitch of why he should hire us and stuff. So. Um, yeah, you really have to model, and you know, just you have to measure, you know, what you monitor, what you want, you know, what is that phrase, right? Measure
Yeah. Yeah.
what you want to do, because the same with behaviors too. Um, yeah, otherwise things will get off track.
Yeah. I like your approach in that everybody has a backstory. Like what I'd say around our organization is more life than work, right? There are
Right.
things that come up in our lives. That's for me as a man of faith. I believe that we're all designed in the image of God, and we all have worth because of that, because He chose to die for us. So that's where I start, and I try to see people through that light. But I love the way that you're helping coach your team to say, I want you to be better. I want you to continue to grow. I don't know everything, but I know I'm leading in this way, and that's not the way we're going to respond. Your manager responded to an employee. Okay, that's not the way we're going to respond in that situation. So now talk to us about finding the top rated gutters. So there's a lot of ancillary businesses, complementary businesses, tie on, add on businesses to painting. How did you land on gutters? What was kind of your review process? You know you touched on that a little bit, but can you go into that a little bit more? Somebody who's looking to either start a new business or start an add on business, what was your thought process behind that?
Yeah, I think the main thing we saw was the need for a middle of the road priced, high quality type of company that can come in the market and make a splash, because again, we had one that was so high, we all got competitive quotes. And same thing with painting. We looked at painting because my wife thought I was nuts. She's like, you were presenting to vice presidents at Coca-Cola and now you're gonna go out and paint. I'm like, well, I'm not. So I asked my wife to get 3 competitive paint quotes because she thought I was nuts because I was calling on vice presidents at Coke, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm gonna be a painter. I said, no, you know, I'm gonna be behind the desk and managing it. So she went and got 3 competitive quotes. You know, one dude was like late, One dude never showed up. One dude walked in my house, looked around, said 4 grand,
Yeah.
and wrote it on like a piece of paper, as a
Yeah.
joke. You think I could do better than them? Yeah, I could. So that's where sort of the bringing the white collar experience to the blue collar industry was what,
Okay.
kind of my tagline I came up with for LinkedIn. So for gutters, it's kind of similar because that's how we were so successful. I think quickly with painting, it was like we brought something that really wasn't there before. So for gutters, I had people out to my house and I was begging them for a quote, and then the quote came in. It looked weird. It didn't have all the information. What's the warranty? When can you start? The technology piece was really weak. So kind of like where we were with Five Star a long time ago, just an attachment, like nothing sort of integrated, nothing in the phones, nothing, automated text messages and stuff. So we thought we could bring, well, we think we can. We're doing pretty well. So people are having good experiences. I think we've done 32 houses. One of the big jobs we had was about 22 of those houses. So,
Nice.
so it's about 8 different customers, but I've gotten 50% of them, more than that, have given me a 5 star review. So,
Wow. That's
it's all about the
fantastic.
reviews when you're starting. Yeah. And trying to keep that going. It's a tighter economy right now, so less people are calling and getting work done on their homes, but that will change and we will be ready for it. I think the other thing that really made us excited about top rated gutters too was that we're starting it from nothing. So it's really to see that, was really neat. There is one big gutter company that's kind of national, and our goal, it is national. I think it's also to possibly be bought out someday for people to buy into a great brand that's expandable, that's got, easily can expand out. But the local side of it's really still kind of fun. It's still me. I'm going to bring Matt into it and others eventually too. But right now it's just me doing all of it because it's kind of easier. It's smaller, and it's back to fun. I feel like I'm back at, 10, 15 years ago, and we
Yeah.
can make changes to the software. We don't like something, we make changes to it's really quick and nimble too. So
Cool.
it's better. It's easier than working with a really established brand.
Yeah. So your 5 star painting, you said is at the level where your staff jokingly says, "What are you doing in the office?" It hasn't always been there.
No.
Your top rated gutters now, and this speaking opportunity that you have is going to take a lot more of your time. One of the things we talk around here is this pull between work life and home life. I believe balance is a myth, so I don't think we don't balance things. But where have you chosen to invest? How have you navigated that kind of mentality of choosing to invest your time between work life and home life?
Yeah, so we've, our home life time has really expanded. So our youngest just went away to college as well. My oldest got established in Charleston. My middle is finishing. So we're true empty nest. So it's a fun conversation. It's what do you want for dinner? Whatever you want and
Yeah,
whenever, so it's like
cool.
sort of open. So that's good and bad because it's like being workaholic, I can like, all right, I'll see you at 7. I'm gonna go, run stuff. So I can't do that. We still have a pretty much a really good routine of kind of having family time start at a certain time. So
Cool.
it's not working every single night, which we could easily do. There is an end time to the day, which actually is similar to when our kids sort of were like, all right, it's dinner time. Like we ate dinner as a family every single night.
Cool.
It was weird to not eat together. So Sharon and I still eat every night together. It's usually 6 or 7. So that kind of ends the work, which is great. What I've been able to do is section off some of the time during the week just dedicated to top rated gutters so I can stay focused.
Cool.
I have 2 separate phones, got them right here actually. So 5 star, top rated gutters. I've tried to
Nice.
create that separation
Yeah.
because it's just, and it's separate books, it's separate everything. So there's no, problems there. But that is a balance that, owning multiple things is, you can definitely get bogged down in it. But I think keeping things separate is really huge for us. Like everything, email, that is key. I think I've seen some people try to blur stuff together and it just doesn't,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it definitely, we did the same thing with our Mosquito Joe and our Christmas Lights Lighting Pros. We completely separated the two. I wanted to say is completely two separate businesses. It's helped us a lot in the marketing space
Yeah.
because as we go to um, a city or the Ritz-Carlton. So we have the opportunity to work with the Ritz-Carlton, do their Christmas lights, which is amazing, amazing opportunity. It looks a lot better for us to come in as a Christmas lights business, an outdoor lighting business. That's the core business that business is. Instead of, oh, I've got my Mosquito Joe shirt on. Oh, well, we also do Christmas lights. First off, there's a brand issue with that with the FDD of my franchise agreement, so we don't do that. But second to that, it just doesn't. You can't be all things to all people. And so
Mhm.
having a specific team, having a specific brand for us has helped us so much in growing the two of them separately.
Yeah. Yeah, I will add staff once it gets to the point where it's too much for me. So
Yeah.
one of my mentors early on was like, you want to work yourself out of a job. So start hiring as you get, to the scale. It's like, okay, I can't handle sales anymore. Gotta get a sales guy. Can't handle the marketing anymore. Can't handle scheduling. So I will probably definitely keep it separate. I mean, there's just no reason to, they have full-time jobs as it is what they're doing. So
I love that. So talk to me about mentoring. So you shared about networking. I know we've met through BNI. We've been at Rotary together. We're in a mastermind group together. Talk to me about networking, mentoring. How have you used that to leverage your business?
yeah, so networking, we took on really strong, probably I'd say 3 to 4 years ago, where we really just kind of dedicated money towards joining organizations, to attending different events. Luckily, I have someone that works for me, and in fact, we might just hire someone dedicated to nothing but networking. But my director of operations is good. I like to say is good in the evenings, and
Okay.
I'm good at the breakfast and the lunch.
Okay.
So I also don't drink alcohol, so like going to a brewery it's not, with the guys. I'm
Yeah.
not that guy. So but he is, so he can go and do that stuff. So we've embraced that wholeheartedly, because making connections and finding customers that constantly need painting, whether it's property managers or other businesses, is a huge benefit to us. The way we approach networking, though, that was really effective, is it wasn't all about, hey, do you have any work for us, right? As much as you want to say that,
Yeah.
it's, hey, how'd you get started in your business? Almost like a podcast. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
man, tell me about yourself, right? So really getting to know them by bringing that personal side first. The business comes after, which has
Yeah.
really been beneficial to us, because you get so excited sometimes. You'll see a big, realtor, commercial property person, you just want to jump on them, but you really want to get to know them first, because if you jump too fast in the business, and all of a sudden, oh, I didn't know he was like that. So
Yeah.
you got to get to know them, and if they really need your services, they will ask for it. If they don't, they're not going to ask, and you move on and find someone else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love that. We have found a lot of success in building those relationships because then it establishes the referral network, the relationship much longer. That it's not a one and done. This is no, I'm getting established within your portfolio that I'm consistent. So you have confidence that you can refer to me and my organization is going to take care of your clients.
yeah, and I think people need to be clear on networking events too. So, you go to a networking event, it's at a bar, restaurant, or whatever, there's 50 people there. You're not gonna build the relationship there. It's, hey, I have a connection with you, like a roofer. I just met, and we met before. He called me, got connected from a guy through Rotary, and we had a nice long talk. I was driving to the Apple store on Saturday, and the next step is, we've met. He has a need, we have a need. I don't have a roofer to refer out to, and he can't find a painter worth a darn. So it's, hey, let's meet. So
Yeah,
he's going to come here. We're going to talk about our values, who we are. He's going to talk
cool.
about his, and then we'll start doing. So he wants to bring his whole team here. That's how it works.
Yeah,
It's not yeah, we had a beer together. Everything's great. No, that's a start.
yeah,
Like, how are you? What's your billing? You got to get so much more into who are you? Are you local? Are you here? Do you care about the community? That
yeah.
kind of stuff. So
No, I think that's very wise because anytime you refer someone, you put your reputation on the line.
you're darn
And
right.
so
Yeah.
that's super important to help vet people and then also allow them to vet you. So talk to me about the mentoring piece. How have you leveraged mentoring? You obviously are mentoring your team. We've talked about that earlier, and I love the way you're doing that. How are you leveraging mentoring for yourself?
So me being mentored,
Yeah.
I could probably have my cup filled up a little bit more than it has. I do have a small group, which is really good. We meet every other Wednesday. We kind of took the break off over the summer, but that's a group through Brownsbridge, which I love.
Cool.
Good guys. We meet every Wednesday right around the corner, so that's fun. And I get my cup filled up a bit there. Obviously, go to church. I'd like to get back into like an empty nest small group with my wife. That would be good. I do get fulfillment mentoring. I have I call him my fake nephew. So just my wife's best friend's son. He's starting his own business, and he's kind of come to me and asked for help. So that's
That's
like
cool.
really flattering to be like, yeah, okay, I'll help. So he comes in here, tells me about what he's gonna do, asks advice and stuff. So I love that. Once you reach a point when people start asking you for your advice, it's really flattering. I think what the danger is though, you don't want to surround, I've seen this already, and sometimes in meetings or when I'm out places, that when no one disagrees with you,
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a like, what I said wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Like someone challenged me here. Like I don't want all of my ideas or thoughts to just like, okay, we'll do it. Yes, sir. Like, don't yes, sir me. Like, I need people to push back on me and to challenge me, because really great ideas come from that, where you add on a little bit, everyone puts in a piece, you have something much more powerful.
Yeah. No, I think that's excellent. It's a rising tide rises all ships, and it allows
Sure.
everybody's voice to be heard. It allows them to be more engaged in organization because they feel a part of the organization instead of just a task taker. So I love the way you're doing that. Let's end on these two questions, and I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you opening up about your personal life, and how you've navigated what the Lord's have you with your hand, and how that's impacted your life and your business. And I'm excited to see where He takes you, and the steps that you take to continue to share that message. But the two questions I like to end on: number one, it's a common one, but it's one that I love to hear. What is a book that if you could get it in the hand of every small business owner? So the young man who's starting a business, what's a book that you say, hey, you got to read this book? It can be you read it in the last 12 months and it really impacted you, or it could be I read this in 2013. We started Five Star, and this is where it is.
I mean, for different stages of of life and of business. I mean, I love, EOS had a huge impact on us, just getting everybody aligned. And I got that really changed my processes. I mean, I guess when you're starting, that's not such a big one. I mean, I would have every business owner read Think and Grow Rich is
Yeah.
probably,
Oh
love
yeah.
that. I know guys that read that every year,
Yeah.
literally go back and read it every year. That's probably the biggest one that I would probably have
I
new
love
business
that.
do. I mean, extreme ownership's good. Tribes is really good.
Okay.
Um, but when you're starting, I did a lot of the franchise recommended a few that were pretty good. And that one was, oh, the greatest salesman in the world is not
Okay.
bad. So I think those are the big ones right
Yeah, those
now.
are some excellent recommendations.
Yeah,
We have implemented EOS as well. It is a great piece
fantastic.
of systems. I love it. It's easy to digest. It's easy to get everybody on the same page. But I agree. That's probably you got to be a little more established, in my opinion. Right? I'm
I
not an
mean,
EOS implementer.
I asked my kids that, young men reading books is not an easy thing. Getting a 20-year-old to read a book. But Rich Dad Poor Dad's phenomenal.
Yeah,
I need to go back and read that again because that's got
yeah.
good commercial real estate stuff in it. So that impacted me. And then Millionaire Next Door, I read that
Nice.
when I was super young. Like, okay, I could be a millionaire and not actually have to make a million a year.
Yeah,
So that sounds interesting. Yeah.
yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of the things back in 2015 that
Mhm.
started us on this journey of business ownership. So I love that book.
Oh, wow.
Um, Talk to me about kind of last thing. What piece of advice do you wish you would have gotten when you were starting out?
I got a bit of advice 6 months in. I wish I got it the first day, is that it is a marathon, not a sprint. So it does not happen immediately. We got that finally at 6 months, and my wife and I went like this. Okay.
I
We were
love that.
doing great. We didn't know we
Yeah.
were doing great. We're like 6 months in, but we're working around the clock and trying to immediately make this into like,
Yeah.
what it is today. And that does not happen immediately. So finding the right people, building your customer base, making people happy, managing cash flow. Yeah, so it's really a steady it's a long game. Playing the long game is way more. I wish I knew that kind of a little bit earlier. And then maybe something around finding and waiting for the best people. Don't be so quick to hire.
Okay.
So the phrase we love is, kind of quick to fire, slow to hire. So just really bringing in the great people. Andy says he would take a B player that matches your values more than an A player that doesn't match your values.
Yeah.
That's huge too.
Yeah. That's a all incredible words of wisdom to end on. Well, Scott, man, I appreciate your time. I
Thanks,
look forward
man.
to
Good
seeing you at
game.
our next roundtable.
Yeah, see you next
And
week.
and you have a blessed day. I appreciate your time. Okay. Thanks everybody, and we will see you soon. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Market Mavericks. We hope you're walking away inspired and ready to take your own adventure to the next level. Don't forget to follow the show to keep up with our latest episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe, share it with others who could benefit. And hey, if you know a market maverick who has a story that needs to be heard, please drop their name in the comments. We would love to bring their insights to the show. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and leading with purpose.